Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well here today. Oop, and I'm already getting flies in my face. Where do I begin with this one? Well, let's talk about Tommy Robinson. Let's talk about the alleged assault that apparently took place at St. Pancras. Now, if anybody has seen the mainstream media, the first thing you will have likely have seen is the fact that basically they're saying, well, alleged assault by Tommy Robinson, and that he's apparently fled the UK. Now, I did actually record beforehand that I thought it was alleged, but I wasn't so sure. But I ended up deleting the thing because it was too big, the footage that is. And I don't know why, I just felt like it wasn't right. But anyway, back on point. It turns out Tommy Robinson has left the country. I say left, not fled, because to flee is a slander in my case, or in the case of Tommy Robinson, I should say. I feel like it is a blatant bit of slander from the mainstream media. Mind you, they've all got the same honesty as a second-hand car salesman. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times the mainstream media tries to spin their yarn, there's no way in hell they're going to sell me a second-hand car. Who said that's because you need a crane to get around? Shut up, you. I'm not that heavy. Fucking hell. Fucking crane. What's next? A JCB? Shut it. Jokes aside. The thing is, you can't exactly say Tommy Robinson has fled the country, because let me tell you something. Do you honestly think Tommy Robinson would flee from authorities? Do you honestly think a man who has spent so long fighting for this country would, after fighting for like 20, 25 years or say, just down tools and say, fuck it, I'm done with this country? I sure don't. But the victim in question, I always found it funny how the twat is actually wearing a paper bag around his head, or what looks like a bin bag. So you can't even identify the guy. So at best, this is questionable. And at worst, it seems like a sting operation from the oligarchy, because they clearly are terrified of Tommy Robinson. I guess devil's advocate, I can't really blame them for being that terrified. I would be if I had Tommy Robinson wanting to literally beat me down with a stick, quite frankly. And I think I'd be getting off lightly at that point. Anyway, they're terrified of Tommy Robinson, and quite rightly. He takes the fight straight to the establishment. He is the one who takes out the trash. And he was seen saying in the video that was posted out, that little 15-second clip, he was saying, "You all saw him come at me." Basically, this belligerent drunk, this lefty agitator, tried to go after Tommy. And Tommy, well, he's said this before, he has told people to back off. Why else do you think that there was this one time where I believe there was someone else who went after him, knocked him out cold? Do you wonder why he was never in trouble for that? I'll tell you why. It's because it wasn't fucking assault. It was self-defense. That's the thing. Believe it or not, you are allowed to do something called a preemptive strike. If you suspect that your life is in danger or you're about to get attacked, you have every right to defend yourself. I'll put another scenario for you. What if, let's say, you have a man or a woman who is carrying a gun, and then they're about to pull it out and you can see the size. Are you just going to let them pull the gun out and pull the trigger in your face? No! You're going to fucking fight back! Likewise, if the two-tier policing society can see someone is about to pull a weapon, do you think they're going to give them a chance to? Like hell would they. And as the old saying goes, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So I guess to put this simply, this agitator fucked around and he found out. And as much as I am loath to say it, I hope the lefty NPC who got absolutely knocked the fuck out, I do hope he makes a recovery, because apparently the injuries were serious. But I think the real injury is going to get stroke number one is going to be to the oligarchy's pride. Because after all, they will do everything they can to lock this man up. Because here's the thing. What happened at St. Pancras, as I said, they've only got 15 seconds of footage. And apparently there was a bodyguard with him at the time. So he witnessed the whole thing, number one. And number two is what we need if there's really CCTV down there, and there clearly was, because they got the 15 seconds they wanted, I think what would be best for all of us, show us 30 seconds before and 30 seconds after. Sounds like something you could use in a L'Oreal Paris advert. Here's 30 seconds before, and here's 30 seconds after. Anyway, they need to show that 30 seconds extra in that footage. They need to show us it's beyond doubt. I know I may have my contempt for the mainstream media, who are about as integral as a straw I-beam, but even I have to compromise on certain things. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And say what you will about Tommy Robinson. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't right-wing. One thing's for fucking sure, this lefty got a good look at his right cross. In fact, it's going to be the last thing he sees for a long bloody time. That's the thing, when you fuck around, as I said, you're going to find out. Tommy Robinson is a political heavyweight, and he could also hold his own in an actual fight as well. Anyone who isn't at the top of their game, whether it's in a fight or in a political debate, is going to get dropped. Just like that. Because when Tommy Robinson speaks, he has facts on his side. He has statistics to back it up. His fists, he's been using them for a very long fucking time. In one way or the other, he will take out the trash. I don't think I've even recalled one person that has taken this guy on politically or physically that has actually won against him. Maybe the one time when he was in prison and he was locked in the room with like 7 or 8 Muslim men, but that's about it. But that was the time where the establishment set him up. Like the secretary in Wood Hill prison, I believe it was, had actually sent him into a room where he got beat up by a whole group of Muslim men. And if they had knives and blades, well, Tommy Robinson would have been dead, and she would have been done for corporate manslaughter. But of course, the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me. It doesn't suit the narrative. And while we're on the topic of prison, let's also talk about a very similar situation where Tommy Robinson was in prison. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. It might have been Peterborough prison. But basically, Tommy Robinson was in prison again for some other crime or tomfuckery or whatever was going on. But at one point, there was a white kid who came to the door and basically like this, oh, hey, basically like this, he went, "You're going to get done with boiling water." And then Tommy was like, all right, who's going to do it? Pointed to the Somalian. And then, understandably, when the Somalian is going to the hot water machine to fill a kettle up, and bear in mind what they do when I say napalm, boiling water and sugar, combine it, makes napalm, takes someone's skin off, takes the face off. So understandably, Tommy's not going to let that happen. He is doing a preemptive strike and attacks this Somalian, who, of course, the media and the police guards in there, they say it's a racially aggravated assault when it was not racially aggravated. It was a threat to his life, and he acted accordingly. Because unlike some people, when Tommy is threatened that something's going to happen, if he's got an opportunity to stop it, he's not going to hesitate. But what they did was they tried to cut the footage of what happened to this Somali kid, so it literally only shows the bit where Tommy is punching him. But when the KC, the King's Counsel lawyer for Tommy Robinson, was in this trial, the prosecution, well, the KC basically said, you need to take 30 seconds before and 30 seconds after. And then, by convenience, the police said, we haven't got any footage. So, if it weren't for the KC being in there, Tommy Robinson would have been locked up again. If not for even longer for this attack, when the KC was basically tearing this case to pieces because of the fact that they were tampering with evidence effectively. So understandably, when you have a situation like that, as well as the recent event of what happened at Manchester Airport with those Muslims that decided to attack police officers like the barbaric scum that they are, the only bit of footage that the mainstream media wanted us to see was the footage where a policeman, bear in mind it's an airport and anything can happen at an airport at any time, and the police up there especially need to react within a split second and robustly. They only showed the footage of this policeman kicking in one of the Muslims' faces. And do I think it was a bit brutal? Yeah, I do. But that's mainly just from a looking perspective. It may well be, and probably was, well and truly justified. As you have to remember, as said, anything can happen at an airport. What happens if one of the Muslims pulls a gun? What happens if one of them has got a boom vest? What happens if one of them pulls a knife? Like, there are so many situations that could have evolved from this one debacle in Manchester Airport that it could have seen people injured or killed, quite frankly. And I'm not just talking about the mullahs doing this. I'm talking innocent people, or even the police could have gotten hurt. And as much as I don't like the police, I don't want to see them getting hurt. Then the full footage of what happened up there came out, and it showcased these Muslims barbarically attacking a female officer, breaking her nose and basically smashing her face in, which left her in tears, which proves a point that I think female officers, quite frankly, should not be on the front lines, as they are not cut out for that kind of thing. You need to be physically fit, you need to be physically tough. If you're mentally weak, they're going to take advantage of that. It's not me saying it because I want to be a sexist pig or anything. It's me saying it because it's matter-of-factly. It is just generally known as a fact that men are going to be physically stronger. It's just the cold, bitter truth. I would love nothing more than for men and women to be equal. But sometimes there are things that you just have to compromise, that you can't have true equality in those kinds of situations. But I am deviating a little bit. The point of me mentioning Manchester Airport, what happened in what I believe was Peterborough Prison, and of course what's happened in St Pancras Station, is the fact that they have doctored footage time and time again. And I think this is no different. If they want us to believe their bullshit, they need to show us 30 seconds before and 30 seconds after at St Pancras Station. Show us what happened that led to this man getting knocked unconscious. I want to see the footage. I don't want to see some spiel of, oh, here's the man lying on the floor. Because here's the thing, you don't even get to see Tommy Robinson throw the punch. So it begs the question, did Tommy really throw that punch unprovoked against an innocent man? Or is this something more malevolent that the oligarchy was trying to set him up for, and they're just trying to exclude the full context? I think you'll know where my money is hedged, quite frankly. And we all know Keir the traitor Starmer is absolutely terrified of Tommy Robinson. Why else do you think he looks under his bed every night? It's not to look for the boogeyman, it's to watch out for Tommy Robinson. I can already imagine him suffering from PTSD. Anyway, the fact is, the oligarchy will do everything in their power to make sure Tommy Robinson is locked up. Because he's not just a hero, he's a symbol. His status in this country is wholly symbolic. He is a man who we could all become if we put enough time into it, if we put enough effort into it, and if we show we've got the balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to actually take on the establishment. Whether Tommy Robinson has a rap sheet longer than your arm or as short as a cigarette paper, it doesn't matter, because the way I see it is, as I said, the mainstream media and the oligarchy, I can't stress this enough, they have lied to us time and time again. They will continue to lie to us time and time again. That's the thing. But that's the thing. The governments should have been more truthful with us. The mainstream media should have been more truthful with us. And maybe their stories would have been a bit more believable. But because they've been so dishonest and so blatant with their lies, do they expect anybody to believe their crap? A lot of people have already been calling this out. It stinks of corruption. It stinks of absolute bullshit. I mean, they were so pathetic of what they were doing that they even decided at one point, I think you might recall this, there was a speech he gave at one of these protests way back in the 2010s where The police arrested him because his speech went 6 minutes over the allotted time, and then he was given bail conditions not to enter the borough of Tower Hamlets. But this is how petty the two-tier policing society and the oligarchy truly are. I mean, the fact that literally sending the Attorney General to basically go after Tommy Robinson in a politically motivated case for showcasing a film that, if you want to get technical, did not even breach contempt of court, as that was already breached by the Americans, number one, and number two, because the footage was out there, that meant it was already out in the public domain. Because let's be honest, how likely do you think it is that people are not going to download the footage from Tommy Robinson and then re-upload it to the internet before the whole thing gets purged? You got two hopes of that: No Hope and Bob Hope. Can I have a pee, please, Bob? Oh wait, no, that was Bob Holness. Anyway, the fact is, they've proven they are not worthy of being trusted. The oligarchy, the media, the two-tier police, they wonder why the people have lost respect for them. Shit like this. Now, for the fleeing part of the country, Tommy hasn't fled. Tommy usually, if anybody remembers, Tommy usually ends up having pre-arranged meetings and interviews outside of the country. Because that's the thing. Tommy Robinson isn't just a hero in the UK. He's seen as a worldwide hero, well, throughout many countries. There are many people who want to speak to Tommy Robinson, and vice versa, that basically will give him the opportunity to speak, because his freedom of speech has always been curtailed here in the United Kingdom. But to briefly move away from that, I loved the fact that Donald Trump basically completely grilled Keir the traitor Starmer over a Spitfire, basically turned that motherfucker black as coal, especially considering this treacherous sectarianist bastard has the audacity to lie to Trump's face and say, we have freedom of speech here. No, we don't. Anybody who has wrongthink, and the stormtroopers, they come round and they'll kick your doors in at 3 a.m. in the morning, especially now they've got their elite force that is looking at any migrant post, that is basically looking for anti-migrant sentiments and what have you. We're about as free as a shackled slave, and that will be also what we become if we allow Sharia law and the barbarians of Islam to take over the United Kingdom. So to say that Tommy Robinson fled the country is at best misguided and at worst libelous slander. If I haven't mentioned it already, Tommy Robinson even called the police to let him know what happened at St Pancras Station. And he suffered that scratch on his forehead as well. He claims that he hit a door, but though I think, let's face it, it was this lefty NPC. I'm almost certain of that. But the left, of course, would love for Tommy Robinson to be locked up, because they have as much common sense as a dead squirrel. The man who's literally fighting for their freedom of speech, and a lot of us are too. And yet, they want to see one of the biggest heroes in the United Kingdom behind bars. I find it even more hilarious, though, that the lefty NPCs, when Tommy cancelled his appointment with Epping to protest outside the Bell Hotel, what did the lefty NPCs do? Because they're so pathetic. Where's your Tommy gone? Like, seriously? Seriously, you're literally going to make it about Tommy Robinson just because maybe he had to be somewhere else, maybe he had something crop up, maybe he had to do an interview with somebody important, who knows? Of course, the lefties don't care about that. All the collective intelligence of a crushed watermelon with none of the pips inside. You could literally provide the whole book of truths to these lefty morons, and they would still somehow say that that isn't true. You could show statistics categorically showing the invaders that are coming over to this country, the illegal ones for context, that are coming over here, that have no legal or human right to be here, and a lot of these people are going out of their way to commit crime, and sometimes that crime is against our innocent children. And they will still say refugees are welcome here. They are literally the turkeys that are celebrating Christmas. No wonder they're calling signers gobble gobble. Anyway, the truth is, Tommy Robinson has not fled. He has gone to an interview. I am nearly certain that he would not just lash out at anyone who decides to call him names, because he's been doing this for too fucking long. Do you honestly think that he would just lash out at anyone, considering he has been doing this for decades? Do you honestly think he would lose his temper at being called far right or a Nazi or whatever? I personally don't think so. If any people are likely to do that, it's the left-wing NPCs. And it turns out, we're even finding out that some of these so-called local people are not actually local. But most of us already know that. We already know that these guys are a paid renter mob. Thank you. We've already showcased time and time again, there are many paid people from the left wing who appear on certain things like BBC Question Time to basically dispute core things, or to usually with the community leaders, they usually like to preach the narrative of, oh, we're being targeted with Islamophobia, even though there is no such fucking thing as Islamophobia, which I often try to put on MSN during my lunch break, but unfortunately, MSN police, oh my god, they will censor you if you're even a hair outside the left-wing narrative. Islamophobia is merely a made-up word used by community leaders and shills from the so-called religion of peace to shut down debate. No, that's an ambulance. I mean, you know me, I strictly save that tune for the police. Because something on the side, we the people, when the ambulances come, we cheer. When the two-tier policing society shows up, we hold them in contempt and sometimes even boo at them. And that's effectively because we know that the police have chosen a side. The police batter patriots while they give kid gloves to Palestine. They decide they're going to treat us like dirt while they allow Black Lives Matter, Insular Britain, Just Stop Oil, just to name a few, to run rampant. I mean, hell, they even bust up Antifa thugs to try and attack us at Epping. So, yeah, understandably, you can understand why people are saying that the two-tier policing society are no longer apolitical. They are Keir the Traitor Starmer's stormtroopers, operating under the left-wing rule. And if the police have a problem with me saying that, Norfolk Constabulary, you know where I am. You've been to my house several times. Just give me a call. Don't stop me now, because I'm having a good time. But I'll tell you right now, I am protected under Article 10 of the Human Rights Act, which is free speech. You may not like me dropping truth bombs. You may not like me giving you a cold, bitter pill to swallow, even when I'm forcing it down your fucking throats. But you know what? I ultimately stand on the right side of the law. Whereas you lot, you're the right hand of the council. More like the underhanded side of the council. Sorry, Mass Effect quote. I just realised something. I left this overnight. I left it on the floor. Oh god, not so much ice cream, more like ice slop. Anyway, the truth is, the police don't represent us. And I will categorically say that if the police refuse, if Pancras Station refuses to provide us the security footage rather, if they stroke number 2, if they refuse the footage, then we will know something's going on. We will know that the two-tier policing society would rather not let that information get out, because it might prove Tommy innocent. I mean, it's kind of what we're expecting at this point, because we know how they operate. I suspect if Keir the Traitor Starmer had his way, it wouldn't be so much Tommy is out on bail, it would be Tommy Robinson, you'll never see the light of day ever again. Because that is how evil this man is. A man who has no moral compass at all. It's just a massive lump of coal, which represents where his fucking heart should be. The oligarchy will never let the people decide what they want. If Keir the Traitor Starmer was making the decision on the EU referendum, while David the Conman Cameron may have been forced to give us the referendum thanks to Nigel El-Faraji, one of the few good things he bloody did, I reckon Keir the traitor Starmer would double down and say, no, this is off limits. You're going to stay in the EU, and we're going to allow the unelected bureaucrats in Brussels to continue siphoning money off us like a vacuum to a wallet. A man of pure evil, who you would basically think that if you compared him to the most evil man in, like, films and what have you, he would make Michael Myers look like a fucking nice guy. I really would. And I'm not talking about the guy who's been found guilty of actual charges and all that. I'm talking the Michael Myers from the Halloween franchise. And remember, he was described as someone who is purely and utterly evil. Keir the traitor Starmer would trump him very fucking easily. Yeah, Myers killed a load of people in the films. Keir the traitor Starmer is going to potentially kill millions. He is going to end up destroying this country if he is allowed to stay in power. He must not be allowed to stay in power. But you know what really pisses me off? What brings my piss to a boil? King Charles. Well, king in name only. Charles. Charles II. And I've said this before and I'll say it here again. I honestly think the name Charles should be basically taboo in the royal family, because clearly the name stroke number 3. The name Charles is clearly a bad odour. It's clearly bad luck. It's clearly a name that has not garnered good reputation, considering the wars that Charles I funded, and how Islamic and how totalitarian and Marxist this current king is. The king must abdicate. He must abdicate because he is not fulfilling his duties. And apparently he bullies his gardeners as well, which is probably one of the worst things, because you think about the people who are out there tending to your gardens, trying to make you look like this really lovely guy who has a really nice place, and what do? You treat them like dirt. I can already sense the civil war. Forget the fucking class war we're in right now. We are indubitably heading for a civil war. None of us want it. I'm the last person who wants it. But the cold, bitter truth is, it will happen. Not if, when. Keir the traitor Starmer may want it, but he has no idea how much it will blow up in his face. It will blow up in his face, and it will probably take his face off, quite frankly. This king is not fit for purpose. This establishment is not fit for purpose. We need a complete reshuffle of the oligarchy. We need a different, monarch. We need a different monarch in the throne. We need a different party in the houses of treachery. Parliament. Or maybe I was right first time. We need different people leading this country. I personally think UKIP would be the best answer. Of course, you'll have a lot of Reformians that will come out and ignore all the bad shit that Nigel al-Farashi has done and say, no, we need Nigel al-Farashi as our leader, even though he's about as honest as a fucking snake oil salesman. Like, we need someone who actually genuinely sticks by their beliefs, actually wants to deliver what they want to deliver. And I accept, devil's advocate, it's not exactly easy being Prime Minister, because there are certain things you've got to fix with the other establishment's fuck-ups, if you will. There are some things, like, you could have a crew on board a ship, and they've created loads of holes along the hull. I nearly messed that up. I nearly had my 4th stroke. But there are many holes within the hull that these establishment parties, the fucking, what's the term I used to use? The Liblad Con parties, the Uni Party, that was it. The Uni Party has done absolutely substantial damage, and I'm surprised that the UK has not turned down so much that it's basically gone bottoms up like the fucking Titanic. I'm surprised we're able to actually refloat this motherfucker. But I guess there are such things as miracles, so yes, I better not use Jesus Christ's name in vain unless I get bollocked for blaspheming again. Even the Daleks have a problem with that. But the bottom line is this. I don't think Tommy Robinson assaulted this man. I think there's a lot more to this story than what the mainstream media and, of course, at Pancras Station are willing to show us. Because we know the oligarchy has a deep-seated, malicious hatred towards a man who basically forced them to do their fucking job and protect us. And, to be honest, still refuses to do their job. Because they're still letting children get raped. They're still letting them get killed. They're still letting them get butchered. And remember the 3 girls. God rest their souls. Elsie Dot, Bebby King, Alice de Silva Aguilar. The 3 girls who end up getting attacked by a piece of vulture sperm known as Axel Radaku Banana. An Islamic terrorist who even stabbed one of the girls 120 fucking times. And whose side was Keir the traitor Starmer on? It wasn't the girls, like he tried to... Stroke number 4, as he tried to state in his statement. No, he was on the side of the terrorist's father. He was on the side of the terrorist himself. He came into Southport for the best part of half a minute, laid a reef, fucked off back to Westminster. If that does not tell you whose side Keir the traitor Starmer is on, then nothing ever will, quite frankly. And this police force had better start doing its job properly, because when the Civil War breaks out, we don't want it to, but it will happen in the next year, I'd say. When it does happen, the people are going to remember every transgression that you've done against us. Every single one. And they will look back at you. Whether it's London police, whether it's Manchester police, whether it's Leicester police, whether it's Norfolk Constabulary, they're going to look at you and realise you were on the side of the oligarchy. You were on the side of Keir the traitor Starmer as his personal little stormtroopers. They will look at you. They'll tell you to take one of these and swivel. And then they're going to take out the trash. Most likely you included, which I don't want, as I've said. But if it does happen, you have only yourselves to blame, not the far right. You took the piss out of the people. You failed to protect the kids. You failed to be an apolitical force meant to protect the realm and keep the peace. What do you think will happen when war comes to your doorstep?